Hi, welcome. Recently, I purchased a book. Well, it was not that recent, but it was recent enough. I purchased a book and I absolutely wanted to talk about it because it's very pertinent to what I do on Substack and here on the YouTube channel. And it's this book, The Aldrrúnar, from the Norna Society. It's spelled differently, but Norna is somewhat how you pronounce it. And well, I have to say straight that this is a book that I absolutely do not regret purchasing. What they attempted to do is they go and they managed to form a timeline of the Germanic mythos, the Germanic Norse mythos, or from the inception of everything. When Muspelheim and Niflheim contact each other in Ginnungagap, from which everything arose, the nine worlds. They attempt to a creation myth, basically, which was always present in the Germanic sagas and the Norse sagas. But what these guys do, they went through everything and they form a coherent timeline. So it's not you have a piece of it in this saga and they have a piece of it in that saga, and it's up to the person themselves to sort of form form a cohesive storyline over it. No, this book does it for you, and it's an amazing work. I can't imagine the time, the effort, and the dedication that went into a project like this. Because I'll just show you some pages, uh, just to show you, because they on every page there are sources. So this is just, oh, it's very shiny. But yeah, under every page, oh gosh, it really doesn't show. Ah, there we go. The sources are mentioned, which sagas they got the excerpts from. Now, it's it needs to be said that they looked at the skaldic sagas, so the poetic sagas, which is important because the prose ones, so the non-poetic ones, the non-skaldic ones, they have been translated or written down through a Christian lens, and which they also talk about in the introduction in this book, that things may get lost in translation or purposely mistranslated because of the times that these people lived in. And Snorri Sturluson probably did come from a good place, but it was time, and he might have started the world, the, the the myths, the sagas, through anything else but a Christian lens. But he probably didn't come from a place of wanting to subvert or to undermine this, well, the origin story of his own people, the origin mythos of his own people. I do want to say that I don't think that Snorri Sturluson was ill-intended. But there was, I'm going to read a little bit. I'm not going to read all of it. That would be an impossible undertaking for me anyway. But just a little explanation of why they call it the Sedian lore. The Sedian path, or Sedianism, was developed by the Narna Society in response to the growing number of New Age gurus who have proclaimed to embrace this religion, Asatru, I'm imagining, in order to aggrandize themselves or their political ideologies. It is meant to restore balance to our way of life. The term Sedian was developed from Forn Sed, or Forn Cedar, meaning ancient customs or ancient religion. One of the only terms we know our ancestors used to describe their way of life. I mean, that's true. We don't know how these people call themselves. So this, I mean, I agree, this is a very good word or phrase to to describe it, really. Some may choose the more Germanic forms of, well, that doesn't matter, but it's basically the same word anyway, same meaning. Um, we We have adopted this as simply meaning that this is our way, our custom, our faith from the past for today and growing into the future. So Sedian simply means follower of the customs or follower of the faith. Well, that's very concise and comprehensible and needed, I think, because indeed there are many people that give their own twists to the sagas, not in the least when it comes to political ideology. I absolutely resent that. Any person that has followed me for a while knows this. Um, I try to keep it out of my work on Substack and YouTube, but it does manage to slip through. I do not think that it's a catch for all. I don't believe this myself. While of course it's always up to the individual to decide their own life path, the cultural appropriation only ever seems to be going one way. And I'm glad that they took a stance against that, that it's not for anyone and everybody to throw their ideology against their political leanings, which tends to be, I mean, well, how do I say this without YouTube? It seems to be okay for everybody to grab the North Germanic faiths and belief systems, the ancestral ones, like this one, and just do whatever the hell they want with it. Pervert it in any way they please. But should a European or a person of European descent do the same thing to, let's say, African beliefs, Asian beliefs, that would not be okay. And this has been an ongoing thing for Europeans. It's not just about the ancestral beliefs, it's about a lot more. But that is a tangent. I'll acknowledge it. I went on a tangent there. But it's true, nonetheless. And another thing that I want to talk about, which I found very cool that they put that in there, is a few tenets. So I would say it's not comparable to the 9 noble virtues, also because, well, there's more here. There's 16. Now, tenets are, well, let's call it guidelines, but a bit less preachy, let's say, than the noble virtues, because, I mean, and look, the noble virtues, it's like Snorri Sturluson. I don't necessarily believe that they come from a bad place. In fact, I am very, very convinced and certain that the person who I probably can't even mention on YouTube anymore, but the AFA, the Altrrúnar Folk Assembly, the man that he came from a very good place. I truly do believe that. But there are parts in, I mean, there are one of those virtues, like hospitality, that have been completely perverted and subverted into meaning whatever the hell some woke-tart wants it to mean. And that is a weakness in the 9 noble virtues that was bound to happen because the wording is so, well, it's not, it's too interpretable. And that has been my criticism of them throughout. I don't think I've ever changed my opinion on that, even though I think it came from a good place. Like hospitality should extend to family clan only, not to any rando that comes knocking on your door. But I'm gonna go over a few of these that stood out to me and why I like it so much. This belief represents all the tribes of the Germanic people and their descendants, which is tenet 4. Well, yes, it is specific to these people, very specific. I mean, this was, and look, the Germanic people, while they lived in tribes, they indeed had their local gods and goddesses and their local customs, but generally speaking, they all did have this same faith. That is why we know that names like Wotan, Donar, that these names, that we still know these names because they all believe this, or at least acknowledge it. And this one especially, um, I like it very much, which is tenet 6. We reject all forms of syncretism and universalism, as this denies the uniqueness of our tribal divinities. Yeah, um, I I know where they're coming from with this. I do the same thing. I'm not a syncretist, although I can have an academic interest, but it never sticks. If I do delve into syncretism, that is only ever temporary. I always revert back to, well, my own ancestral beliefs. Think of that what you will. I mean, everybody, every culture, every religion does this. Indeed, they all look for commonalities, let's say, but eventually they will always revert it back to their own. So it's no different for this, and I think that is reasonable. Let me see. Oh, this one. Number 10. Fatalism is an integral part of our ancestral ways. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, the web of weird, the Norns weave as they will. I mean, it also goes back to the unknowable nature of the Norns. Is it possible for a person to change their own weird? Well, there are several schools of thought in that. Some think you can, and others think you can't. Now, I fall in the school of thought that says, like, look, if it is possible to change your own weird, then it was probably already in your weird that you had that possibility. And it was up to you to take that path or no. So I do fall into the fatalism school here, I would say, that the norms are such a, and the web of weird is such a vast thing that transcends every single one of us. It's uh, which are our lives throughout history, throughout, well, starting from our ancestors until now and our descendants. Yeah, I do think this, that if it is possible to change your own weird, then it was always in your weird that you had that option to change it. And it's up to the individual to do it or not. Because eventually you do die. It's inescapable. There's no immortality. So that's also a part of the fatalism there. It's not forever. You won't live forever. And you have to accept that. Live accordingly, knowing that your name or your haminya will live on beyond you. It can be passed on to family and clan and kin. So you do have a responsibility there. And I wrote about something about that on Substack as well, that you don't just live your life for you. We hold the epic of our ancestors to be sacred lore. Yeah, well, don't we all? I mean, don't they all? I mean, we are the spiritual children of our respective gods, which I also think is true for all cultures and all religions, except maybe for the Abrahamic ones, with the exception of one that I don't want to get into. But there is a strong emphasis on family with the Germanic folk beliefs, or the Sedian lore in this case. Which brings us to the last tenet that I wanted to, well, at least bring up here, is like the development of strong, healthy families and communities is the epicenter of our entire belief. And that solved it for me. It did. I'm a family person myself. Family is very important to me. It I mean, I have my own family, an extended family. I, I have never, ever felt I belonged more than when I have a family. And I had a really good job at some point and earned me quite a bit of money. And all I really got out of it at the end of it were money and burnouts. Just being absolutely sick and tired of everything. I didn't do anything else but work. But once I had a family, all that money, because I gave up my job, it wasn't worth it. None of it was worth it. And I would never ever exchange having a family for any of that lifestyle ever again. So that hooked me. That absolutely hooked me. Now, this is a reprint, if I understood correctly, or a revision, because they made some changes in the original one and then they republished this one recently, I think. Now I will leave the link below. And it's not the only one. Number one, there are more books, but I haven't gotten them, and I haven't even gotten through this one. But I mean, the tenor of this book is already explained. It is a comprehensive walkthrough through the Germanic mythos, well, Norse Germanic mythos and origin stories. And that's why I wanted to talk about, because it does provide you a very good foothold. Like, where do you start with all these sagas? Because they're all over the place. I mean, you have to read them all individually, and there is no real red line through them all unless you can find it individually. It's pretty hard to do that on an individual basis. So these people put the effort into it. And for that, I mean, I have my greatest admiration, because what an undertaking that must have been. Bravo, wow. So yeah, for people interested in Germanic myths, mythology, or just the foreign cedar, but it's an excellent book to have. I couldn't praise it higher. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that I got this one. And look, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's just beautiful. And the Norns here, take Brazil. So that was just my book recommendation of the month. I don't do them every month, but when I find an absolute gem of a book, I do want to discuss it, or at least talk about it a little bit on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. May you walk with the gods.